When I was called to the mission, Angola was a part of the Mozambique Maputo mission, and this was in 2011. Sorry, 2012, when I received my call. But then in 2013, July 1st, was when the Angola Luanda mission was created. And actually, so it includes Angola, the whole country of Angola. It also includes an island called São Tomé, but their missionaries aren't there yet, so no one knows what that's like. So pretty much the whole time I was in Angola, there were between 30 and 40 missionaries in the whole country the whole time I was there. So basically, we lost missionaries at the same rate we got missionaries. And so the capital city of Luanda has a district, so it doesn't have a stake yet. So it has the district of Luanda, and the district has 5 branches in the district, but almost all the branches are the size of wards. Just because it's not a stake, they're not wards yet. And then outside of Luanda, there are 2 other cities. One is Wambu and one is Lubangu. And each of those cities has 1 branch. Actually, the Wambu branch was actually created about a month before the Angola mission was created. So that's a little over a year old right now. And yeah, so basically the leadership of the church in Angola, all of the leadership are members who were baptized in Portugal or in Brazil, who moved to Angola. And that's pretty much how the church started up, is because of these members that baptized out of the country and then moved to Angola and started up their lives there. I think when I arrived in Luanda, which is the capital city, I'm pretty sure it was raining. And what else? So I was picked up by, so it wasn't the mission president, because the mission president was in Mozambique, but it was, so President Thompson was, quote unquote, the mission president of Angola. And so he picked me up, he took me over to the mission home, which is just an apartment that's rented out. So I just relaxed there basically the whole day. And then that night, I was driven over to my first area, which was Casaquel. And when I got there, the 3 missionaries that were living there at the time came out to meet me. My companion, who is Elder Marikeli, who is Mozambican. So he was my companion, and then 2 other elders that were living in the house with us. So they helped me bring up my luggage to the apartment. And I just remember that I walked in the apartment, no power. Welcome to Angola, no power. So, yeah, I had to unpack my stuff with a flashlight. But, yeah, that was really interesting. But I just remember that. And then, so we had no power, but about 15 minutes before we had to go to bed, the power came back. But it turns out the AC in our room was broken. So we slept without AC. And I just remember that first night, just sweating the whole night, because it's the middle of summer. And just thinking that, wow, this is like camping. I never imagined that camping would prepare me to be a missionary. But yeah, I've never forgotten that night. It's really interesting. I know that Angola received its independence from Portugal in 1975. But then, right after that, there was a civil war in Angola between the two. There are 2 main political parties in Angola. There's MPLA and there's UNITA. And so the leaders of those 2 political parties got in a fight, basically. So it caused a civil war in Angola, which lasted for 30 years or something like that. And so during the Civil War, actually the capital of Angola was supposed to be Wambu, but in Wambu was the headquarters for UNITA, and Luanda was actually a safe zone, and because of that, during the Civil War, tons of people fled from their native cities to Luanda, because Luanda was a safe zone. And because of that, Luanda was kind of constructed unorganized. So, and the population grew overnight, basically. The capital of UNITA was Wambu, which was also the capital of Angola at the time. And also because of that, most of the fighting happened in Wambu, the city of Wambu. And so it's interesting because if you go to Wambu, you can actually see bullet holes and cannonball holes in some of the older buildings. And the White House of UNITA is completely destroyed, and it actually looks really cool. But yeah, that just shows that MPLA won. So UNITA still exists, but MPLA is in charge. The president is part of MPLA, the president of Angola. So basically, most of what Angolans eat is pretty normal, despite what a lot of people might think. Mostly rice and beans, all the time rice and beans. But one of the main Angolan food though, it's called funge, which is basically boiled water and flour. So, and it kind of has a gooey texture, and it's kind of flavorless. And so at the beginning of the mission, it's kind of weird. I know the first time I had it was actually my first Sunday in Angola, and I remember thinking, I didn't think it was bad, but I just didn't have any flavor. So I was like, yeah, whatever. But near the end of my mission, I just loved funge. Funge is the best food on the planet. But when Angolans eat funge, they always have some type of sauce with it, which, the better the sauce, the better the funge is. Also, Angolans love something called kizaka, which in my mind is basically spinach, but it's a little different. And they usually eat that with their funge, kizaka and funge. But besides that, it's pretty normal rice and beans. One thing that was interesting to me is that a lot of Angolans eat French fries on a regular basis. They just fire them up and serve them with rice and beans, which I was not expecting that, but it was good. Also, when Angolans make noodles or pasta, usually they don't make a red sauce with it, which is what we Americans do. Usually it's, I don't even know how to describe it, but some oil-based sauce, usually with chicken or pork or something. So it's a little different, but it still tastes good. There are a lot of people who sell food on the street because there's tons of outdoor markets in Angola. I think technically, mission president's wife advises not to buy stuff off the street and stuff. But one of the best foods in Angola is called frangite, which is basically just fried, or it's grilled chicken, and it's so good. You just buy it on the street for $4 for half a chicken. One of the best snacks you can get. Me and my last companion, we made it a goal to get it every week. So good. But yeah, getting food, not too hard. There are a lot of stores, supermarkets that you can go to. That's almost American style. Well, basically American style. And get your rice, you get beans, sauces, pasta, pretty much everything you need. So in the capital of Luanda, especially when I got there, a lot of the roads were unpaved, so just dirt roads pretty much everywhere. And terrible drainage systems, which meant if it ever rained in Luanda, it didn't rain very much in Luanda, but when it did, basically the city shut down. No one would leave. for missionary work, lessons would get canceled because people would say, like, oh, you can't come over here, it's raining. So everything shut down in Luanda whenever it rained. But in Wambu, I also served in Wambu. In that city, because it rained more often, the city kept going when it rains. But in the capital, everything shuts down when it rains. So I guess for school, there are actually 3 school blocks for, at least for high school and for college. There's the morning session, there's afternoon session, and there's a night session. And for work, a lot of people who worked would be working from about like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. basically, 12-hour days basically every day. So people who worked were extremely busy. Rarely had time at home. And so transportation-wise, usually, so I guess a lot of people had their own cars, but most people didn't. So there was a taxi system that so there were several taxi routes that you can go down. And I think for new missionaries, this is one of the most strange things in Angola, because there are these vans, these Toyota Hiaces. So there are different styles. There's 10-seaters, there's like 20-seaters, whatever they can fit in there. How many people the people can fit in their taxis, they get in the taxi. So a taxi is just $1 per ride. And what happens is that the driver is driving, and then the driver has his partner, who's called a cobrador, who is the person who collects the money and who shouts out the taxi route, and has the taxi stop when somebody wants to get in or wants to get out. And the traffic situation in Angola is terrible. If you have 2 lanes, the Angolans make 3 lanes out of it. So however many cars fit on the pavement, that many cars will be on the pavement. Motorcycles are actually worse, because basically the quote-unquote rule that isn't a rule in Angola is that if it fits, they'll take the path. So motorcycles will drive on sidewalks. They'll drive if it's a divided road and there's a place for a crosswalk, motorcycles go through the crosswalk. Whatever they have to do to get to where they're going faster. Yeah, taxis, very fun to go on. It's not really a cultural don't, but what Angolans love basically it's a rule that you can't eat rice and funge on the same plate. You can't have them on the same plate. And so Americans that would go to Angola, we're used to eating everything we want on the same plate. And so like the first time that ever happened, if an Angolan saw it, they always freak out. Like, what are you doing? You can't eat rice and food on the same plate. So that's just something funny. It's not really a rule. They'll just Angolans think that's funny when Americans do that. One thing about the culture that I really noticed is that it's very accepting culture. People are really friendly towards each other. A lot of times, so actually the way houses are set up, usually there's like this yard with like 5 or 6 different houses all connected to this yard. And so basically that whole yard becomes a family. Even if they're not literally actually family, they're basically family. They can borrow each other's things with no problems. Don't have to worry about their kids hanging out with the other people's kids, stuff like that. So it's very, very accepting culture. So first off, Luanda has a lot of dirt, which means you have to wash your hands a lot, wash your face all the time. One thing that I actually miss was getting home at the end of the day and washing my hands, just seeing all the dirt run off my hands into the sink. But yeah, so we have to make sure to wash our hands. We bring hand sanitizer with us to use, because there's a lot of dirt in the air. It's really dirty. In terms of sicknesses, so malaria is real, and there have been a few missionaries that have actually gotten malaria, and because of that, we're actually supposed to take malaria prevention pills every day during the whole 2 years. And yeah, I know there was a missionary there who got malaria in like his second or third transfer, and after that he never stopped taking his pills. He never missed a day after that, because he said it was miserable. Malaria is miserable. So yeah, it's important to take those pills. Also, there's another disease that's carried by mosquitoes that's called dengue fever. So these malaria pills don't actually prevent it, but they do help tone it down. And I actually got this disease. I actually got dengue fever. And yeah, it wasn't fun. I was stuck home for 3 days, and I was taking my pills, so I don't even imagine what it would have been like had I not been taking my malaria pills. But yeah, I just have to be smart, take the pills, use mosquito repellent to prevent any of those diseases. In terms of physical safety or crime, every once, like when it gets to, especially at night, it gets kind of sketchy in the city. So you have to make sure you stay in lighted areas. Like the missionary handbook says, make sure you always have some money with you in case you need to bribe a robber. I know, also with taxis, because they're crowded, it's very easy for people to pickpocket. So you have to make sure you cover your pockets at all times, make sure no one's scooting up too close to you. But yeah, I got pickpocketed once, but only lost $10. wasn't a big deal. In terms of like bigger crime, every once in a while, missionaries will get stopped by robbers with either knives or guns. And in my case, my companion and I were actually stopped by 4 robbers that had a gun. And basically all you have to do is just let them have what they want. So my companion and I would just stop, give them what they wanted, and then they left and we were fine. And there's also another missionary who didn't do that, and he was actually stabbed in the back. And fortunately, nothing. He wasn't mortally injured, but it's better to avoid those types of circumstances. But yeah, really, if you're doing what's right as a missionary, the Lord's going to protect you. So I wasn't even during that situation when my companion and I were getting robbed. I wasn't worried at all. I knew it'd turn out fine. So because Angola was colonized by the Portuguese, pretty much everyone speaks Portuguese, at least where the missionaries are. In Wambu and Lubangu, there are more people that speak the native languages, which in the south is Umbundu. But even the people who speak Umbundu also speak Portuguese, so missionaries don't really have any troubles teaching those people. In terms comparing Portuguese from Angola to other countries, from what I noticed, Angolan Portuguese is very lenient in pronunciation. I guess because the Mozambicans live there, Portuguese people live there, Brazilian people live there. I guess because it's kind of like a mixing pot for all the Portuguese. That, like, for example, the word what, which is, you can pronounce the word what like 3 different times and it's all correct. You say que or ki or ke, and it works. It doesn't matter. I know one thing I know is Mozambican and Angolan Portuguese is pretty much the same from what I could tell. The tone of voice, comparing Angolans to Mozambicans, the tone of voice is a little different, but I couldn't notice that. My first companion was Mozambican, and I couldn't tell that he spoke different from the Angolans. It wasn't until near the end of my mission that I could tell that the Mozambicans spoke a little differently from the Angolans. So between Portuguese from Portugal and Angolan Portuguese, there's not a huge difference between the common pronunciations, just because there's a lot more Portuguese influence than Brazilian influence. But so Brazilian Portuguese is the most different, where like the word diligently, which is a word commonly found in the scriptures, in Portuguese from Brazil, it's diligentemente, whereas in Angola, it's just diligentemente. So a lot more cheese and G's in Brazil than compared to Angola. But pretty much all the words are the same. There are a few differences. I know Angolans, one thing about Angolan Portuguese is that there's a lot of slang in the language that's super common. Everyone uses it. Like instead of saying muito for a lot, Angolans most of the time say bué. One interesting word, one word that all the American missionaries love, is the Angolans actually have a word for thingy, which is coiso. Which is basically a direct translation from English to Portuguese, because thing in Portuguese is coisa, and thingy is coiso. So that's something all Americans love, that word. There's also the slang version, which is mambu, which a lot of the taxi people use. So if you know that word, you'll hear it all the time. Mambu. Like the word we for guy or dude. A lot of slang in Angolan Portuguese. But yeah. So I was serving in Wambu, and we had a mission conference in Luanda because Elder Hamilton from the area presidency was visiting. So we took a bus ride up to Luanda. It's about a 9-hour bus ride, and spent a few days in Luanda, and then we had to head back. So to explain just a little bit, this was my companion's last week on the mission. We were traveling on Thursday, and on the Friday, one of the families that my companion... So let me explain a bit about my companion. My companion had actually served in Wambu twice. He served there during the first part of his mission for 6 transfers. Then he got transferred back to Luanda. And then 5 transfers later, he got transferred back to spend his last transfer in Wambu. And so the first time my companion was in Wambu, he found this family who always came to church, converted, but because they weren't legally married, they couldn't get baptized. So a year later, when he's back in Wambu, the last week of his mission, on the last Friday of his mission, this couple is finally going to get married, and on the Saturday they're going to get baptized. So we're traveling on the Thursday. So basically, we have to get back like, we have to get back by Friday so that my companion can have this great experience to end his mission on. So we start traveling back by bus, and about 4 hours into the ride, we get to this point, and about a 30-foot chunk of road is missing. Don't know what happened to it. It's just missing. And we're in the middle of Africa, so there's not like there are other roads you can take. So we get there, the bus driver's like, I don't know what we're going to do. We're just going to wait until someone tells us what to do. And my companion's furious. Like, we need to get back to Wambu. And so on this trip, we were 4 missionaries, 2 companionships in Wambu. And so we waited around for like an hour or 2, just sitting around. My companion and one of the other elders went and happened to find a satellite phone, because we didn't have signal in our cell phones. So I happened to find a satellite phone, called President Merrill, and then explained the situation, just so he knew. Got back, and like right when they got back, the bus driver had heard that there might be another road that we could take. So we get in the bus, start going down this other road, and this other road is a 1-lane dirt road. It's like, okay. And on either side of this road is like marsh, swamp. So basically, if you go off, you're doomed to be stuck. And so we start going down this road, and of course, the other way, I happened to find this road. So now there are cars coming towards us, and we're going that way, and it's a 1-lane road with marsh on either side. And these are like buses, semi-trucks, all this, like big vehicles. So what else are you going to do? So they just make 2 lanes out of this 1 lane, and of course, they get stuck. Like the front of the line gets stuck, and so we're just stuck in the middle of this marsh in the middle of Africa with a wedding to get to the next day and no way to get there. So, and by this time, it's like, we left Luanda at about, I think, 7 a.m., 8 or 8 a.m., and by this time, we're still 4 hours away from Wambu, and it's like 6 p.m., and we're stuck. We're not going anywhere. And the bus driver is like, he's given up. He's like, oh, I'm just going to sleep here the night. All the passengers, yeah, we're just going to sleep here tonight. And my companion is like, no, we're not sleeping here tonight. So, yeah, we went up ahead a bit just to see if anyone on the other side of the stopped vehicles was going back to Wambu. And we walking, no one. And finally, like, the last vehicle in this line is going to Wambu. So like, hey, would you mind taking us to Wambu? But we're 4 people, and he had a 2-passenger cab. Him, and then 1 seat. That was it. And there are 4 of us, and he's like, I don't know. Like, we can squeeze. Okay, fine. Luckily, he had space in his trailer, so we put the luggage that we had in his trailer. But all 4 of us crammed into this cab. So we just start going, and so by this time it's like 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m., and we start heading off towards Wambu. And turns out this vehicle has, I think it's called a governor. That's something that regulates the speed, and we can't go faster than like 50 miles an hour because of this governor. So we're just chugging along like 50 miles an hour, and we're all anxious. It's late, midnight, 1 o'clock. We're all sleepy. The driver is like fighting as hard as he can to stay awake. It was just a fun experience. It took us 6 hours to finally get home, when it should have only taken us like 3 or 4 hours to get home. But we finally got home. We got home at like 2 a.m. Uh, the guy just parked in front of our house. We brought out a mattress for him to sleep in. And then that morning he left. But we got there on Friday afternoon was the wedding. Saturday they were baptized. And then my companion went home. Yeah, that was one of the most memorable experiences of my mission. My third transfer, so my first week, my third transfer, my first week with my second companion, we went to go visit a family that my old companion and I had been visiting basically since I got to Angola. But we got there, and they weren't home. And so, great, what do we do now? No one else, we didn't really have any other investigators in the area. So, they're okay, let's find a place to go contact some people. So we're walking down a bit, and then my companion asked, have you ever contacted this road yet? I was like, nope. Okay, let's go down there a bit. So we walked down this road, and then this road is maybe like a minute to walk around, and it looped back to where we started. So it wasn't very big. But on this road, we walked by a couple guys that were drinking, and one of them stopped and said, hey, wait, I want to talk to you guys. I said, okay. So he walked over to him. Like, yeah, I'm stuck in this, what's the word? Addiction. I really want help to get out of this addiction. You give me your phone number or something. So we wrote down our phone number on our pass along card and gave it to him. We asked him for his number. We wrote down his number. He actually also gave us his wife's phone number, which, we weren't expecting that. Okay, this guy might be legit. Okay. Because actually in Angola, a lot of the people who are drunk, when they see us, they always tell us, oh, help me get out of this addiction. And so, then most of the time they don't mean it. So whenever people say that, we kind of just ignore it. But then this man gave us his wife's phone number too. And I was like, okay, all right, he could be cool. And we kept walking. A couple of days later, my companion and I are like, you know what, let's call him now. So we called him, and we called him. He answered the phone. He was like, thank goodness you called. I wanted to call you, but I didn't have any minutes in my phone. He's like, oh, okay, when can we come by? Yeah, so we set up a time. And so we went over to his house, sat down, and he actually brought out the card we had left him. And the card that we had left him was one of the Book of Mormon pass-along cards. Or the front has a picture of the Book of Mormon. On the back has that paragraph that explains 600 years before Christ, a family was led by the hand of God across the ocean to the Americas, blah, blah. And when we got there, he basically recited that whole paragraph to us. He told us, yeah, every morning when I wake up, I grab that card and I read it. He's like, yeah, I think about it the whole day. And so when we got there, he quoted the whole thing to us, basically. And so my companion like, whoa, this guy's cool. But yeah, he was one of my favorite investigators to teach. One of the most prepared people I had ever met. He just always willing to keep the commandments, change his life, and prepare for baptism. Another funny thing about this man was we invited him to church, and so church started at 9 a.m. So we invited him to church, and so that Sunday, we got to church at around 8:30, 8:40, something like that. And he's already here. He was already there. Hey, thanks for coming. Hey, what time did you get here? Oh, I got here at 7 o'clock. I need to make sure I was on time. Whoa. Okay. didn't need to come that early, but thanks for coming. Yeah, it was such a funny experience. But yeah, I don't think he ever missed church since that day. And because of him, like his wife and all of his children were baptized, besides his 4-year-old. It was actually his mom. He actually invited his mom to church as well. And the first time his mom came to church was, we actually had a district conference. And this was when Elder Cook from the area presidency visited Angola. And so our investigator and his mom were at district conference. Like, oh, cool. Our investigators doing missionary work, right? And then the next Sunday, his mom was there at church. And then the next Sunday, his mom was there at church. And then, I don't know why it took us so long, but finally my companion and I were like, wait a minute. Why are we not teaching his mom either? So we got a hold of his mom. We started teaching her as well. She was even more prepared than this man that we found. We taught the restoration to her. And she's like, then we asked her if she believed it was true. And she's like, duh, of course it's true. What do I have to do to get baptized? Great. I love when investigators ask that. Whenever an investigator asks, what do I have to do to get baptized? They're going to get baptized 100% of the time. Yeah, that was... And because of that experience, actually, my first area is actually my favorite area because of that family that my companion and I were able to teach. It was a really, really cool experience just to see the excitement that these people had as they heard about the truth and lived it. The Angola Luanda mission is the best mission on this planet. I know that really it was the best 2 years of my life serving in Angola, having the opportunity to meet new people, especially the people that I was able to teach who were baptized. It really is a special experience getting to know these people and teaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. So for you who are getting ready to go to Angola, just know that this is the Lord's errand. And if you are obedient to what the Lord says, you'll be protected and you will be able to have the Spirit with you. And we know that through the Spirit, we can know all things what we should do. So just make sure that you're prepared to serve the Lord, that you're obedient, that you study the Scriptures, that you know the Scriptures, that you know preach my gospel. And if you do that and follow what's in the Scriptures and the guidance of your mission president, you're guaranteed to have success. I know that as we serve honorably, as we serve diligently, we are blessed. And I know that the Lord sees what we do and recognizes our efforts. And if you put in your best effort, you will feel the Spirit of the Lord, and that you will feel that He is with you, guiding you in every step of the way, so that you can have the success that you need, and that you can have the experiences that you need. And so that one day you can return back to your family in safety with the knowledge that you served your best and that you were worthy to be called the servant of the Lord. And I know that all this is true, and testify of this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.